Hi Papercrafters! Welcome to another Design with Jo video. I'm Joanne Rogers, a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Central Alberta, Canada, and I've been designing with you in mind since 1999. Today we're going to make a really cute little coffee holder. This is a thank you that I did for my Next Best Thing open house, and it allows you to put just the little packet of instant Starbucks along the side. And I'm going to show you one just in slightly different colors, so let's get started. We're going to start with our stamping first, and I like to always use my Stamparatus as much as I can. So I'm going to, first of all, get it set up here, and I always have my little, this is just a case that I had, and I put a piece of black paper in here, and it just allows me to see the lines through it. So I have already set up and put my words on here. So this is, we're going to do the inside first. So let me just grab, this is a piece of 2 by 5 1/4 Whisper White paper, just plain Whisper White. And I have some ink on my hand, so I'm just going to turn that over and pretend that didn't happen. And I have my 2 little Stampin' Spots that I've created here. And this is Mint Macaron and Blackberry Bliss. And I like to use these when I'm using my Stamparatus because it just allows me not to get ink all over the plate. If I have a big pad, it can sometimes transfer. Usually will not transfer onto your paper. This just keeps it a little bit more clean. So I'm just going to pat that right over top of my words. And I'm then going to stamp it straight down and lift up. And the great thing about the Stamparatus is that if you didn't get it perfect the first time, you just go right back over it. So I'm just going to clean that off with my simple chamois. And I'm going to leave that there. We're done with that for the inside. And now we're going to stamp just some words for the outside. And we're going to stamp and we're going to cut these out. So I'm not too worried about where they're going to go on the paper. So I'm just going to ink up my word, a cup of thanks. Place that down, and that looks good. So again, I'm going to clean that one. And I'm going to be making multiples of these, which makes the Stamparatus a perfect tool. So now what I've done, I've just pulled my plate out and turned it around, and on the other side, I have my cups. So take this guy out, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with him in just a moment. So I have a piece of my Mint Macaron paper, and this is 7 by 5 1/2, and it's scored at 4 1/4. So if we think about it this way, it's scored from the left side at 4 1/4, and then it's 7 inches long this way. So I'm going to put it in so that I can see this part down here. And here I'm just going to eyeball it a little bit because we're going to stamp this in 2 different places. And I want to make sure that my cups go over and fill that whole spot to the right of the score line. So I'm just going to make sure that it does that. I think it can come over just a titch more. So I'm going to ink this one up with my Mint Macaron. So I'm going the same color of ink as my paper, and I'm just going to stamp that down. And this is just going to create a little border. Okay, so there's our one stamp down. Now, whoops, that's not what you want to do with your magnets. So if that ever happens to you, all you have to do is sort of pull from the side. So I always have this duct tape, mine's purple, on here, and it allows me just to pull apart. So you do want to place them aside. The duct tape probably kept those from from breaking, so you can break them fairly easily. So now I'm just going to go from the other side, and I want to do the same thing over here, and I only want to see it more to the right. So I'm going to go in about the same place, just so that I can get it on the edge. So again, I'm going to put down my magnets. I'm going to ink that up. Maybe I'll use a little less pressure this time because I can always go back in with more ink. Go, so just press that down, press it around, and we have our cups. And so we're done with all of our stamping. So I'm just going to put this aside. When I'm storing this, I always store my plates outside of the Stamparatus, and I'm going to be using these right away, but I'm not going to place these one on top of the other. And I'm not sure that I cleaned that guy, so I'm just going to clean this guy off. I don't want it to get on any paper, so I'm going to make a multiple of these, so I'm going to just put those aside so I can use them right away. Now I've pulled my Stamparatus back in because I forgot to stamp one thing. So I do want to stamp my cups in Memento Black. So I've taken my Tuxedo Black ink refill and I've just put it into one of my Stampin' Spots. Again, just so that it's easier for me to use in the Stamparatus. So I've just inked up my cups again and I'm just going to stamp that down. There we go. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull in a piece of Blackberry Bliss, which is the same color as my ink, and my Tasteful Labels. Tasteful Labels are in the 2020-21 annual catalog, and I love these labels. These are, in my opinion, a must-have in every stamper's toolkit. And what I like about them is that there are various sizes, so there's both small and there's also large dies that we have. As well, half of them are stitched and half of them are embossed. And you can also, they stitch on the outside of what you cut and on the inside. So they're dual purpose. So there's 3 great reasons. Plus they're wonderful shapes. They really are. We're going to use this one here today. And I'm going to cut out a cup of thanks. And I'm also going to cut out one out of my Blackberry Bliss. So I'm going to use my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine to do that. So I've pulled in my cup of thanks and my die, and I want to place this so that my die and my words are going to be to the left of the die. I want that little bit of space on the other side. I'm just going to place my last plate over top and just run that through. And it will make that little bit of noise. Whenever you get a noise like that, it generally is because you're using a die that has a lot of open space in the middle. So there's our words cut out. Now we're going to do the exact same thing. Now we're just going to color, I'm just going to color one of these guys right now. And I have my Blackberry Bliss and my Mint Macaron Stampin' Blends here. And I think I'm going to color this little guy right here. And I'm going to put some of the dark blackberry, and I want the bullet tip because these are fairly small, these dots. So I'm just going to dot the color on there. And because it's alcohol ink, it's actually going to blend and spread a little bit. I missed that one. And it'll just give a little bit of color. But these are such cute little cups. So this stamp set is a set that is $1 million earner. And I'm going to pull it in so you can see it right here in a moment. And this set is called Press On. And so this is the stamp I'm using. We also use the Cup of Thanks and the Hope Your Day is Full of Perks. But there's all kinds of great ways that you can use this one. We're also going to pull in and use that heart. This is $1 million earner stamp set, and it is new in the 2020 holiday catalog. Okay, so we are going to go in with our dark Mint Macaron. And I like to use my dark first. And because then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to shade and I'm just going to add some darker color. And then I'm going to come in with my lighter one. And I'm just going to pull out that darker color. I'm going to go around all of my circles here. Now, if I colored right over top of that purple, they would start to blend into the mint. So I'm trying to avoid that as much as possible while I'm still coloring fairly quickly. Okay. There we go. So we've got our coffee cup, and I'm just going to cut that out. So I'm going to fussy cut it. So when I cut just so that I have a little border around my coffee cup. And I'm going to just cut that out like this. Makes it a little easier if I just have a shorter, smaller piece to work with. So you can just cut that guy. There's no dies for this stamp set. So we have that. The next thing we're going to do is I'm going to cut my label in half. I'm going to cut that right in half, and I'm going to glue that to the back of my words. So I'm going to pull in my silicone craft sheet and my Stampin' Seal, and I'm just going to put a little bit of seal right onto this piece here, and a little bit right onto this piece here. Doesn't want to move, so I just move it with my finger a little bit. I think I want a little bit more on this one too. Oh, and now I'm going to place this. So I just want color on the outside edge. So I'm just going to try and place that down as much as possible so that I'm not going to see it on the top and bottom. I'm just going to see it on the edge. So you might need just to tighten it up a little bit. You will see a little bit of it just because we have pulled the shape out. And so just try and get the same amount on either side. So now we just need to put it together. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fold in on my score line. And you can see that our cups are meeting up over there. We are going to just burnish up the edges. I'm going to put my piece of white right in the middle, and it's going to go over top of one of those cups. So that's okay, because I would just wanted those cups to be able to be seen from the outside. So when you're doing this, if you go a little bit slower, which is something I need to do, you need to go a little bit slower and lift off at the end. And then this is going to sit right inside here with just a little bit of a border. And now I'm going to pull in my crocodile, and I have a crocodile, but if you have a 1/16 hole punch, that will work too. I'm going to use the smaller one, and I'm going to put it in as far as it will go on the right hand edge. So I'm just going to put it in somewhere close to the middle, and there's no magic to that. And you're going to put two side by side. So I have one. I'm just going to look a little bit closer, and they are fairly close. Okay, so you do want yours to be fairly close to each other. And we're going to pull in our Starbucks. Okay, and we're going to put that there, and we need some ribbon. So I figure that you probably need about 10 inches of ribbon. So I'm just going to, oh, I don't have the inches here, but I'm going to say that that's about 10 inches. To create a good snug wrap here, what I do is I go in from the back, and then I go out the other hole with that same end. So I've created an end there. And then when I turn it over, I come into the other hole. So I hold my ribbon here and come into the other hole, because what I need is I need a piece of ribbon on the inside, and I need a piece of ribbon on the outside. So you want a hole that's big enough to allow you to do that. Okay, so I've got one coming around from the back, and I have one coming around from the front. So I'm just going to put my coffee in there. And actually, I think I gave myself a little too much ribbon there, but I guess more is better in this case. And I'm not going to, I could tie that in a bow, but I'm just going to tie that in a knot. Hopefully quickly. There we go. And now I'm going to just trim off those ends. So yeah, that's a little bit of a waste of ribbon for me, but at least I've got it in there. So I would say if you went with 8, you'd probably be good. Now you could probably put a little glue dot on there if you want, but I haven't found that you really need it. Just going to crisp up this edge again, just a little bit. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is just stamp a couple hearts on here using my mint macaron. And I'm going to use the small guy again. Put one up here, put one over here, and maybe one down here, because we need to be able to see them over top of our words, and our words are going to go right there, but we're going to put them on top of something because I thought it needed just a little bit. So I use the Tasteful Labels again, and I use the larger circle this time, and I just cut out a piece of our Designer Series paper in the Blackberry Bliss. And you can see this is one that has the dots, so it'd be fun to have the dots on there, or we could just have the darker too. But I'm going to take that and I'm going to add it on top of a 2-inch circle with our Splendor, Gilded Autumn Splendor paper. No, I think it's just actually Gilded Autumn paper. Okay, now I'm just going to glue that down. Get that over there. I'm trying to use my silicone mat a little bit more to catch any glue bits that might be might extend. So I'm going to put that one down. I'm just going to put that lid back on. I'm going to put that guy sort of in the middle there. Now, I should have done my heart one size over, I guess. And then, oh, you know what? I want to use that side. So I'm just going to put a little bit of adhesive here. My seal. And I'm going to put this one on with dimensionals. And I'm using up a pack here. So I'm just going to quickly cut 3 there. And I like to put 3 on so that it doesn't sort of get punchy. It doesn't sag in the middle. That's the word I'm looking for. So you just take off the backing of your dimensionals and place that right over top. And it is not going to be exactly in the middle. If it was in the middle, it would go over the left of your card. So I have it going a little bit more. It's lining up with the left-hand edge and extending over into this part of the card. And that's perfectly fine for me. And then the last thing we're going to do is we are going to take a mini dimensional and we are going to put that onto the back of our coffee cup, and we're going to just put that off to the side. Okay, so there is just a cute little gift card holder, and it's easy enough to get out of there, and it's just a real fun way to say thanks to somebody, and then you can write your message on the inside. And I also did one in a different color, so you can just see that whatever the color was that was on the coffee, I pulled in. So this one I pulled in Cajun Craze to match, and this one is the Blackberry Bliss. And this also, I changed the ribbon here from the mint macaron to the gray granite. So there you go, all done. I hope this idea gave you just a little shot of inspiration and that you're gonna give it a try for some little tiny gifts that you need to say thank you. If it did, please like the video below and consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. If you live in Canada and you don't yet have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I would love to be your gal. And if you're not yet on my mailing list, why not pop on over to www.designwithjo.ca and get yourself signed up. I post weekly tips and tricks, all kinds of designs and ideas, and all the latest news in the Stampin' Up! World. I'd love to have you join in there too. Thanks very much and have a great paper crafting day.